maybe we have a bit of a dig and have a look how the roots are going. I noticed when you first dug in this how readily the shovel went into the soil.
Yeah, no, that's right. It's you know, for our the soils have been, you know, like a lot of Western Australia, you know, some of the soils are pretty hard, and we're pretty pleased just after them. And obviously our second season in, how things are starting to really get going. They've got a good smell to the soil, and you know, the root systems are reasonably starting to come along reasonably well. Yeah, we've been pretty pleased with them. You know, they're getting really good. You know, like we said, we've had this bit of rain over harvest, and hasn't been a lot of rain, but you can see the amount of moisture there.
Huge amount, really.
That is actually there and still staying there. This crop here, on the yield monitor on the header, because we're harvesting it now, was I'd say to be averaging 3 tonne.
Yeah.
But there's patches of the paddock that the yield monitor is going up to 6 tonne on it, which is you know, really tremendous for
it's unusual
for the areas here.
It's huge.
But to have a crop pulled out of the you know, the crop that's come off this here and still have that amount of soil moisture there, you know, we're pretty happy with it.
Are you happy with that root system, or how would you compare it if you were farming in a conventional way? Do you think the biological way has improved the root system on that plant? Well, obviously by the tonnage it has, but has it been just luck for moisture, or?
Oh, the whole season when we monitored our crops, realistically early on in the season, I don't really care. I do care, but what's on top of the ground, you've really got to be in a biological system. You see your crop, it'll get up and it'll get going. Then around that you know, 4-leaf odd stage, sometimes you'll see your crop, it'll just sit there a bit, but then and you think, what's going on? And there's a lot of tendency people go and stick a big heap of urea on and crank the crop up again. We'll put a biological spray on, but then what you got to look at is what's actually doing under the ground. So when we were monitoring these crops, we kept on digging them up, and they'll sit there and they'll be building root systems, and good root systems. And what you'll find is and then all of a sudden they'll turn round and then they'll just power away. And even if you're then going through a dry spell.
I was thinking of the difference in that between what the root systems we used to see. There was nowhere near the amount of soil held onto the roots. There wasn't as much fibrous matter in the old root systems, was there? There'd be just 3 or 4 bits coming off the plant which were quite bare. You know, you pull them out of the ground and the soil would drop off. There wasn't all the little hairs to hold them on there, and the rhizosphere wasn't anywhere near as strong.
It's just absolutely amazing.
We've noticed in a short period of time.
I think it was glued on there.
With our home farm when we took it over, it had been pretty well degraded, and you dig like that in the ground and you get your shovel in that far, and you'd have a root ball on your wheat, you know, smaller than the palm of your hand, and you dig it out and you get the I've cut probably 70% of this root system off.
Of course, you can see it.
And you'll you just have a little root ball of a wheat, and you get one day with a hot wind, and bang, in the springtime, and she's all tipped off, and you've lost half your yield. But it's one of the first things we can see. Like I said, we're second year into this farm here. You can get those root systems going by just increasing that biological activity and being aware of what chemical inputs, what damage you actually put onto the soil. You can turn around and get a root system, and then when you get dry spells throughout the year, you know that your crop will hang on. You know, like I'm saying, moisture is everything. You've got to farm to grow root systems and capitalise on every bit of moisture you can get.
And I think our observation was the combination of having that good seed dressing, but once we changed from using like the MAPs to either a mineral based, and now we've gone another step again from that to a completely biological fertiliser down the tube. Just that lack of dehydration effect was the only way we could, you know, come to that conclusion, was just the speed of the emergence of the plant from the ground. And then the root growth, the roots obviously weren't as hindered for whatever reason, whether it be, you know, some toxic effect from the other fertilisers or whatever it was, but certainly the root development was far greater and far quicker, wasn't it?
Well, it's an absolute key, isn't it? But I just find it's absolutely extraordinary that you know, pretty, as you said, the soil is pretty average, that you've got such a turnaround in the second season.
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, it's Yeah, no, it's been good. It's surprised us, but we've seen it.
Well, there's just a mass of roots in the middle of the road.
Just
There.
in the interrow there, you just see it's all just fibrous roots throughout.
A whole lot.
And I think that's the key. What's really hung these crops on. You know, like I said, we've had big dry spells during this year, and it's just holding that moisture and holding the. You know, if we get a little bit of summer rain this year, and even with moisture there, we're looking for next seeding, say the end of next April. You know, we've got moisture in the ground. You know, there's a reasonable moisture bank there already, which we'll aim on capitalising on.
You just see how quickly that sponge effect can be starting to happen.
Oh,
with all
unbelievable!
that fibrous root matter in that
Well, if I didn't,
bundle of soil.
if I didn't see it on your farm, I wouldn't believe that it could happen like that, especially in the second season.
That's right, and you can
As
just see
the first season
that's just going
result.
to make things so much better with
Probably-
whatever rain we get from now on.